video is an overview of the asset pack to hopefully give you an idea of how to use the asset pack. If you haven't purchased the pack, there's actually a free sample pack you can check out so you can get a portion of it for free as well. With that being said, let's dive in. First up, I want to mention that there are 1K and 4K versions of all materials that involve images, and this is so that you can save on memory and performance if you do not require a 4K material for whatever you are rendering. Now, these assets are intended to be used in the asset browser, so if you go ahead to your edit, preferences, and file paths, you can set a folder here and just copy these project files there. And then when you come back to your asset browser window, you can select whatever you've named that library there, and then everything will appear here. All the assets are named so that they appear in order alphabetically, and you can also quick search them up here to quickly find what you're looking for. So if I go ahead and type fabric, you'll see that that will bring up all of the fabric options. Let's go ahead and look at some of the options we have on some of these materials. Now they're going to vary per material depending on what that material's needs are. So if we look here, we'll see that we have our basic settings, and I recommend sticking with the default settings when possible, especially for things like displacement and bump. Because the problem is that if you add too much bump, if I go ahead and add like 50 bump here, you can see that it actually starts to distort the model, and you'll see that there's actually these black portions that appear, and those are artifacts that will appear in your model if you bump up those numbers too high. That being said, there is some leeway here to go up and down on these numbers to accommodate to your needs in your scene. Now, displacement is enabled by default, but you may need to do a couple extra things for it to work in your scene. So one thing I recommend is to drag and drop materials in the solid view, because displacement is enabled by default. So if you're on a lower end machine and you drag it in rendered view, that displacement may cause a crash if you can't handle that amount of processing. Now, to disable the displacement, if it's something that you don't want, you can set it to 0 here, or you can come over here under your materials with the material selected, come down to settings. Here under surface, you'll see displacement. You can change that to bump only, and that will disable displacement if you don't want that and you want to save on render times. Now, for displacement to work on your models accurately, you're going to need a massive amount of resolution, but that will slow down your scene. So Blender has a feature that allows you to adaptively add subdivisions to your model to accommodate for displacement, and that's in the subdivision modifier. So when you twirl down the subdivision modifier, you'll see that there's this adaptive subdivision, and this will adapt to the subdivision needed to properly displace your model. You need to have good topology for this to work accurately, and you also need to have the feature set to experimental under the render tab, and this only works in cycles when you're trying to do displacement. It's also worth noting that certain modifiers will actually disable adaptive subdivision. So if I go ahead and add a bevel modifier here, you'll see that that disappears, but the order can change that. So if I put the subdivision on top, you'll see there is again the adaptive subdivision. So if you're planning on using displacement, those are some of the things that you need to be aware of. Over here, you'll notice that everything has a texture coordinate, and that's so that you can kind of drag and drop whatever coordinate that you need. It's also worth noting that if you drag different materials on, some may have different settings. For example, the flannel fabric here has color options that will allow you to change the color and also an ambient inclusion. Those are included per material based on the material's needs. Now let's talk about scaling. So these are repeatable textures, meaning that when you scale them up, they will be seamless. However, with any texture, if you go ahead and bump it up to something really high like 10, you might start to see a repeatable pattern. You can fix this with a technique called image scattering, and there are plenty of YouTube tutorials on how to do it. I prefer a paid-on called Scattershot from the Blender Market team, as that just makes it simpler to implement. Likewise, if you're struggling with the UVs on your image and applying these materials, I recommend looking up how to do triplanar mapping. And CG Cookie has a tutorial on how to do this for free on their YouTube. That's also included in the Scattershot plugin, which I recommended earlier as well. This pack also includes some models which you can just quickly drag and drop into your scene. By default, most of these models don't have materials, but they've been UV unwrapped and had material selections applied, so you can quickly drag what materials you want on them, with the exception being the googly eye, which has a specific set of materials to itself. Down here, you have the particles, and at the time of recording this video, you cannot drag and drop a particle on an object. So if we wanted to go ahead and add particles to this object, what we could do is we could drag this into our scene. and that will add the particle system to our scene back there. And you can just go ahead and delete that. And that will now be input into your scene. And then what you could do is you can add a particle system to the object you want to apply that to. And then you click this little drop down here and pick the name. So that was particle furry. So we'll go ahead and pick particle furry, and you'll see that that applies that to our object. Now, particle systems are heavily dependent on the scale of your object, the amount of faces, and the normals. To accommodate for most changes to make sure you get a particle system that looks similar to the preview, you should really only need to change the number of particles here under the emission and the hair length until you get something that you're happy with. Now, I've also gone ahead and added basic materials to these. So if I come over here to the shader editor and grab my object here, we can actually go ahead and add a particle material, and these will all have them. So here is a base furry and a particle fury. So I'll go ahead and put that particle fury there, and then I'll go ahead and type that in again, and we'll go ahead and add the base to our object. And then you can adjust the color of both of those to accommodate what you need. So you can see with the particle furry system, we have two colors there, and then we can go ahead and take our base and make that maybe an orange to match that more. Now, by default, I have the preview number set to smaller in the viewport display for the children. So you see here that it's only displaying 10% amount of the particles. So be careful of that when you hit render, there's going to be a lot more. You can adjust that display amount and that render amount under here, under the children tab, to get more accurate views in your render view. Next up, let's take a look at how the patterns and grunge maps work. So I'm going to go ahead, take this grunge map here, and I'm just going to drag it and drop it onto our object so we can easily see what's going on here in the shader view. So if I go ahead and render this preview, we can see here that we have a list of patterns here, and you can view these in the image editor, or you can go ahead and drag and drop these here. So if I go ahead and drag and drop this grunge here, you can see that it'll kind of just give me a quick preview on the object. So let's look at how we can utilize those in our object, and also how we can use some groups. I'm going to show you what we can do there. So let's go ahead and grab this paint model option here, and we'll drag that onto our object there. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and look at our object. And we have all these other objects up here, and we can actually access these via our group, and they need to be imported into your scene to be accessible here. So let's look at how we can utilize that grunge map here. So here I've applied the paint model, and I want to make it look like metal is coming underneath. So what I'm going to do is access this metal worn here. Now you have to have these imported into your scene for it to show up here, but if I hit Shift A and search metal worn, you'll see that it appears here as a group, and I can just quickly import that material in there. I'm going to go ahead and plug my UV here. And what we're going to do is use a mix shader. And I'm going to switch this over to material view to let that render a bit quicker. And what we're going to do is add a mix shader here and apply that there. And then we'll apply this down here. And then we're going to use the grunge map or a pattern as our factor. So I'm going to go ahead, look for an image texture here. And I'm already familiar with which grunge maps I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and use grunge 10. There are some other options down here for scratches, but I'm looking for more something kind of that just does overall wear and tear. So we'll go ahead, we'll grab this grunge 10 here. We'll plug that color into the factor up there, and you'll see that this metal starts to kind of shine through on the bottom here. And now we have metal kind of being flaked off throughout. And you can go ahead and change that to whatever you want. So we can go ahead and make that look like more of a rusted metal, and go ahead and turn the roughness up to 2. And then if we switch back over to render view, you can see that we're kind of getting flakes of that metal there. And if you want, you can go ahead and add a color ramp here to make that more intense, or choose a more intense grunge map until you get a look that you're satisfied with. Likewise, patterns can be used to make interesting things, such as mixing fabric colors and creating interesting fabric patterns, or wallpapers or other options. Now, this pack's been designed for simplicity in mind because I want this pack to save you time in your renders. But let's say that you want to fine tune things. We can actually grab these groups, and you can actually tab in here and just edit the setups if you prefer, or mix and match in other elements as well there. Likewise, if you want to access the image files for any reason, those are all included in the file. So you can go ahead and search in. Here we have leather damaged. You can go ahead and access all of those image files individually and mix and match those as you see fit as well. So with that, I hope you find this pack useful. I'm looking to add updates in the future for free, so let me know what you'd like to see added in the comments below.